Have you ever wanted to work on a crochet project, but your brain was just not cooperating? I feel like this happens to me all the time where I get really tired, but I'm not so tired that I don't want to crochet. I just want to be able to turn my brain off and work on a crochet project in peace. Mindless crochet projects are some of my absolute favorite projects to work on when I'm feeling like this, which I'm not gonna lie is probably a little bit too often these days, but that's okay. They just give me a chance to slow down, take a break, give my mind a break, and watch my favorite TV show or movie. I definitely recognize that everyone's definition of a mindless crochet project might vary a little bit depending on your skill level, so I quickly just want to walk you through what I personally consider to be a mindless crochet project before we jump into our list. So there's 4 main things that come to mind for me when I'm thinking about what a mindless crochet project actually is. And the first one, and probably the most important, is it has to follow a very simple stitch pattern. I'm talking 1 stitch carried throughout the entire project, and also a stitch that's just enjoyable to work in general. So I'm talking single crochet, double crochet, half double crochet, none of these really annoying stitches that can kind of be a headache to work. Number 2, this applies mainly to garments, but having little to no shaping throughout the entire garment, because I think once you get into garment shaping, it is no longer a mindless project. For me, if I'm working on a garment, I want it to be rectangles. If I'm trying to relax and unwind, I don't want to do anything but rectangles. Number 3 is purely based on the vibes, but something that's just really easy to fall into a rhythm with. I'm going to be sharing patterns that I personally feel this way about today, and it's kind of hard to explain patterns that I deem to be ones that are rhythmic, but usually I find that it has something to do with the stitch that's being worked. It's usually just something really easy and flowy, and the size hook also matters, something that flows really nicely with the yarn. And usually the project will carry the same stitch throughout each row, so you're not having to keep looking down at your pattern as you go. And number 4, I don't know if everyone's gonna agree with this one, but I think when it comes to amigurumi specifically, it has to be a really small and simple pattern. But I find the opposite to be true if it's anything but amigurumi, so for those projects, I prefer something larger. If I'm making a plushie, I like it to be little and small. And finally, I think mindless crochet projects are supposed to feel more like an act of self-care rather than just a task or simply trying to complete a project. These are projects we want to work on when we're taking a break after all, so I think it's really important to work on things that bring you peace and comfort. For me personally, one of my all-time favorite mindless comfort projects is knitting a pair of socks, and there is just something so peaceful, so cozy about watching a pair of socks come together. Recently, I fell in love with knitting socks even more than before because I learned how to knit them 2 at a time, which leads me to the sponsor of today's video, Crochet. With over 2,000 unique classes and 20 different categories, Crochet is your online resource for all things creative. The most recent Crochet class that I took was called Knit Socks 2 at a Time by Kate Atherley. I absolutely love this class, and it has completely changed the way that I knit my socks for the better. It truly feels like magic knitting 2 socks at a time, and Kate made it so easy to learn. Crochet also offers plenty of crochet courses like Crocheting Sunflowers and Lavender Flowers by Valeria Torres, which is perfect if you're wanting to crochet flowers for the first time or you're just simply looking to level up your skills. This is a class that I personally plan on taking in the future so that I can level up some of my own flower making skills. A Crochet membership also includes access to their premium catalog of patterns, which is filled with a huge variety of knit, crochet, sewing, and quilting patterns. The first 1,000 people to click the link in my description box below will get a full 1-year premium membership to Craftsy for only $1.49. Thank you so much again to Craftsy for sponsoring this video. Now let's go ahead and get into the list of patterns. So I want to start by talking about cardigans. I think cardigans are actually a really great mindless crochet project, and you might hear that at first and say, no, it's not. That sounds really difficult. If you're an amigurumi person, I totally understand how you could feel this way. But most of these patterns that I'm going to be sharing here with you today are really just giant rectangles. So as long as you make a little gauge swatch, I promise the gauge swatch is worth it. But as long as you do that, you can really just sit back and crochet your rectangle and let the magic happen. And at the end of it, you're gonna end up with a beautiful cardigan. So one of the first cardigan patterns that I ever tried was from Sorella Yarn actually, and it's called the Everyday Cotton Cardigan. But I did actually use Lion Brand Heartland to make mine, and I just love how it turned out. It's super simple and cute, and it was the first crochet garment that I ever made that made me realize how cool it is to be able to crochet your own clothing. I made this about 2 years ago, and I still wear it all the time. It's so beautiful and timeless, and the best part is the whole thing is made up out of half double crochet stitches, which are one of my favorite stitches to work. So it really is just so mindless and easy to fall into a rhythm with. I highly recommend this pattern, and it's free. This second pattern is from one of my all-time favorite crochet pattern designers. This is Evelyn and Peter's Poppy cardigan. This is one of my most worn crochet garments, and you might think it looks pretty tricky and it wouldn't be mindless, but this stitch is so simple and easy to work, and because you're using a looser tension in a bigger size crochet hook, it really just flows so smoothly and works up so quickly. Not to mention the fact that I wear this all the time. I have 100% gotten my use out of it, especially in the warmer months. It's the perfect little thing to throw over top of a tank top. Another really great cardigan that you can try out is the Wisteria cardigan. This is one of my first ever crochet pattern designs, and this pattern is constructed entirely out of rectangles, just like the other ones that I had mentioned before. And because of that, it is super easy to work up. The entire cardigan is constructed out of half double crochets in the back loop only, so you're essentially just doing that the entire time, and I personally have so much fun making these. I've made so many, even though it's my own pattern. I've made a ton of these, so I think this is another great pattern. I stumbled across this pattern recently from Hey Hey Crochet, and it is a scrap pullover, and I think this is so pretty to just use all your random scrap yarn on. I honestly should have included this one in the scrap yarn video that I did a few weeks ago, but this is just such a cute little thing to throw over top of a tank top, and I love the colors that she chose for this one specifically. This striped sweater is another one that I think is just so pretty, and it actually has very little shaping at all. It looks like you might have to do a little bit around the neck, but everything else is pretty much just going to be rectangles, which is my favorite thing when I'm making crochet garments because I prefer an oversized look for most crochet things, but this is just so pretty, and I specifically love the colors that are shown in this picture here. I also had to mention this pixie sweater pattern because this is so incredibly gorgeous. I'm not even sure exactly what stitch it is that's being used there, but it is so pretty, and this looks like a perfect spring pullover. It's more lightweight, but it just looks so airy and beautiful, so this is definitely one that's on my list. And again, a mindless project, lots of rectangles going on here. And of course, I had to share a granny sweater with you as well because we all know how to make a granny square, so why not turn it into a sweater and use up some of our scrap yarn in the process. Again, this is another one that could have gone in the scrap yarn video, but I feel like it kind of fits into both categories. It's mindless and it's a scrap yarn project, and it's also just so pretty. I think you could do so many different things with the colors in this one, have so much fun with it, or make it as simple as you'd like. Crocheting with the granny cluster stitch is one of my favorite things because it does just feel so mindless, and it's so easy to just find the exact spot where you're supposed to put your hook in between each cluster. And so for that reason, I feel like it's a pretty good one to do if you are just wanting to work on something and not focus a whole lot on anything. And of course, paired with that, we have the hexagon cardigans as well, but you honestly don't need to hear me talk about that because I swear I talk about them all the time. I have a tutorial here on my YouTube channel. I think it's one of the most viewed videos that I have here on YouTube, so there's a great tutorial if you want to check that out. Now, of course, we've got to talk about blankets because they are the perfect mindless project. It's the perfect thing to curl up with when you're just wanting to watch a show, turn your brain off, but keep your hands moving. So this first pattern is a really simple blanket, but the reason why I wanted to include this one is because it comes in 16 different sizes. So if you like this pattern and you never know how big or how many chains to make to create your blanket, this is an amazing pattern because you can literally do any size that you want. And on top of that, this stitch pattern is really just so beautiful in and of itself. You really don't need a whole lot of colors to make this blanket shine. If you watch my crochet vlogs, this one is going to be no surprise to you because I've made 2 of these alone in the past month, and this is the heart blanket pattern. I absolutely adore this pattern. There are so many fun color combinations that you can use this for, and I believe the designer also has one in a baby blanket size, but the hearts alone are just so cute and pretty, and despite having made 2 already, I just have so many other ideas for color combinations to use this blanket for, but it is another one that is super easy to fall into a rhythm with. After about 3 rows of this blanket, I was able to get the pattern down in my head, and I didn't have to check my phone to look at the pattern, and I was able to just crochet in peace and turn my brain off. This blanket by Daisy Cottage Designs is another one that I've been meaning to try because I love this stitch combination. I'm not sure the exact name of it, but it's like a granny cluster and it looks like a single crochet or something in between. It is so beautiful, and I think it would look really cool if you switched up each row. So if you had the smaller row of single crochet, I think it is, in one color, and the granny cluster stitch in another, I think it would be so pretty. And again, a really simple pattern that is easy to follow. So this is one that I really want to try soon. This rainbow blanket pattern by Mama Made Minis is so iconic, and somehow I have not made this one yet. It's been on my list forever, but I think this one would be such a simple and easy pattern to work up. And the color combinations, again, if you can't tell already, color combinations in crochet projects is like one of my favorite things. It excites me so much. There are so many fun things that you can do with this one, like doing a more neutral palette or something really vibrant or neon or pastel. It's really just so endless, and it makes me so excited thinking about it. This next one is another pattern from Evelyn and Peter, and this is the Adagio Throw. This blanket is just absolutely gorgeous, and I love the kind of color gradient that's going on here that's paired with the white stripe. I think it is so pretty, and again, another pattern that you can really just sink into and turn off your brain. This next pattern is actually a free tutorial here on YouTube, and I personally have never tried corner to corner crochet, but I think it is so beautiful. This blanket specifically is using the moss stitch, which is one of my all-time favorite crochet stitches for blankets and garments and things. This is really just such a great pattern if you are looking to do something that is all one color, or even if you just want to do a really pretty stripe. So as usual, I saved my favorite category for last, which is amigurumi. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of these patterns are going to be smaller things because personally, that's what I find to be the most mindless. They're just little, tiny, enjoyable, cute plushies that you can work on while you're just trying to chill out. I know you're probably going to hate me for talking about this again because literally it's all I talk about these days, but the All From Jade fidget caterpillars. These are my go-to for just sitting on the couch, hanging out. They're so fun and quick to make, and they're just made out of about 8 pieces, I think. It is so fun to just work on 8 pieces of each color and do that 8 times, and then you end up with 8 caterpillars. It just goes by so quick, and you don't even have to think about what you're working on, really. So these are definitely my favorite as of late. If you have not heard me talk about these, I feel like I've talked about these in like my past 5 videos, so here we are again. These froggies are another one that I've made recently, and these are so cute, and I think they're really fun for using up a lot of your velvet yarn. That's what I've been doing with them recently, and they just go by so quick. They're super easy. There's not a lot of like increasing or decreasing or anything really, but then they just turn out looking so cute. So these have been like a hyperfixation project for me right now. I love working on these, and I love how they look in velvet yarn specifically. I have not tried this next one, but I know a lot of people have. These are the floof balls, and they're so cute. I love how many different animal options there are in this one pack here, but you can do so many different animals with this little style. And again, this is just another really quick and simple project where you're not doing a ton of little detail or anything, but I actually think that makes it look cuter because they're very simple and just adorable. These birds are another one, specifically the mallard is just so cute to me. It's so simple and adorable, and this is such a perfect little project to work on when you're just not really feeling like working on anything. This next pattern is one that I'm going to be trying literally immediately. This is by Avalon Crochets. It's a little mini dragon, and it is just so cute and small. Can you imagine how tiny this would be in velvet yarn? Because it would be so cute and tiny, and it's definitely on my list to try very soon. I think this is absolutely adorable and 100% worth the try. And last but not least, we have this adorable stingray. This is such a cute and quick pattern. If you watch a movie or something, you could probably make like 20 of these in one sitting because they're that tiny and that adorable. So I definitely want to use this pattern next time I'm watching a movie or something because I just think it'd be so fun to whip up a bunch of stingrays. And a lot of these amigurumi patterns are also perfect for market prepping as well, which I think kind of goes hand in hand because when you're making so many crochet projects, it's kind of nice to just have something very tiny and simple because you get to feel like you completed something very quickly, which I know is something that brings a lot of us joy. Like for me personally, I love the feeling of finishing a project and knowing I did it super quickly. It just brings me instant gratification, I guess. But that wraps up my little list of mindless crochet patterns that you can try the next time you need to just give yourself a break. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm gonna make sure to have all the links to all the patterns that I mentioned in this video in the description below. Thank you so much again to Craftsy for sponsoring this video video, make sure to check out the link in the description so that you can get your first year of membership from Craftsy for only $1.49. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you made it all the way to the end of the video, comment the dragon emoji so I can personally thank you in the comments. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!